Hello, folks. Welcome to the Genuinely Interested podcast. My name is Roy Bensby, and I'm your host. And I want to explain a little bit about the podcast before we start the show this week. This podcast is an opportunity for me to speak with some of the most interesting people I know that I can find on the internet. So, either with amazing talents or achievements or just unbelievable life stories or invaluable insights into areas that they have dedicated their lives to studying. I sit down with these amazing individuals from all across the world. Really, I've talked to people from Slovenia to the Czech Republic to Australia to countries in Africa and South America, really just all over the world. And I try to ask them the questions that will hopefully help you extract something valuable or learn something new or just get inspired by. And I do hope that you do get inspired by these talks with some sort of a call to action, maybe change something that you wanted to change for a while, or even just enjoy, detaching from the world for an hour and listening to some great conversations. So whatever it is that you get from this, I do hope that you extract something from it and enjoy the conversations. All these episodes are available on all the major podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Google, and the rest of them. You can also find the episodes on my website, which is roybensv.com. You can find a lot of other information about me there as well, from photos to a little bit more insights into who I am, if you're interested. And, you can always go to social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me there. I'm pretty active on both those platforms, although the only ones I have. And I try to post regularly so you can stay up to date. And also be sure to put your email on the website. I shoot emails out with updates, news, any new current information that I have will be sent via those emails and social media platforms. So yeah, make sure you're in the loop. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This week on the podcast, we have Jay Oliveira, also known as the plant-based athlete. Jay was a former stockbroker in New York. And for the last, I hope I'm getting this right, but roughly I want to say 10 to 12 years, he has been dedicating his life to jiu-jitsu. He is currently a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he is also a plant-based athlete, as the name suggests. He is also a minimalist, and this was a really fun conversation. I'm a huge martial arts fan. I'm also a minimalism fan, and this is something I try to live by as much as possible. I still have a lot of work to do, but I'm getting there. And obviously plant-based as well, as much as possible. This episode was, I want to say, split down the middle. First half is mostly talking about martial arts, BJJ, how he got into it, and the beauty of martial arts, specifically on this episode, BJJ, because that is what Jay has been focused on for the last decade or so. And the second half is more about plant-based, veganism, and some minimalism. What I really like is that Jay breaks it down with everything to make it just seem very easy, or just uncomplicate your life. If it's with a passion that you follow, if it's the food that you eat, if it's the stuff that you're unnecessarily buying, I really connected to that. Just keep it simple, less is more. And I feel like more than anything, that's probably a philosophy that he follows a lot. And I personally do as well. So enjoy the episode, guys. There are definitely some great tips, some great insights on this episode. So I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Without further ado, here is this week's guest, Jay Oliveira. Enjoy the episode, guys.
The Genuinely Interested Podcast.
How you doing, Jay?
I'm good. How you doing, Rob?
I'm not too bad, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So where are you chilling right now? You look very comfortable.
I'm chilling in the house I grew up in. I'm in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a town called Falmouth. So I usually come up here for the summers. I spent the last 5 winters in Miami, but came up in April and I haven't left yet. Probably go back to Miami for a few months in January, maybe. But when it gets unbearably cold here,
You're not a fan of the cold?
not at all.
Why?
I haven't lived in the cold. I haven't lived in the cold since, like I said, New York City back in like 2002. I moved to Hawaii in January of 03. And since then, man, my blood's thinned out. I'm over it.
It's funny how many people that live in New York hate the New York weather, because I mean, at least half the year it's cold, right? Like ridiculously cold. And I don't know. I think I'm one of the only people that kind of look forward to it. Like, I love the snow. I love the cold. I love the dressing with jackets. I love the whole thing. I'm all in on it.
You're crazy, man.
Yeah. So maybe give us a little bit of background. I know you're originally a stockbroker. You were living in New York. Maybe give us a little bit of the trajectory.
I've kind of done everything, man. I'm 47. That's why when I see like kids on social media in their 20s freaking out about their career or their life, I'm like, chill out. You're gonna probably change what you do 50 times before you're my age, you know.
But you were there, right? You were at that same age probably, and you were probably going through. It's like I'm the same sometimes when I see kids overreacting about things. I'm like, I would probably do the same if I was their age.
Yeah, I guess so. Then you look back and you're like, what was I so stressed about for?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of did it all. I went to college in upstate New York. I wanted to get out of my hometown. So I went to a school called SUNY Cortland. It's about 18 miles from Ithaca in Cornell, up in that area.
Beautiful.
Played rugby. Met some good friends, and then got out of school, and then did a few things for a few years. I was a little bit all over the place, worked for a marketing company. And then in late 90s, I got a job in New York as a stockbroker. I was there for 9/11.
Oh, wow.
I hated my job pre 9/11. And then after 9/11, I was like, what am I doing with my life? Life's too short. So just shy of my 30th birthday, I just quit and walked away. And then my best friend from college was stationed out in Hawaii. So I packed a bag and left in January of 03 to Hawaii. And I didn't leave. I mean, outside of a few vacations, I didn't leave for almost 13 years, 12 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah, changed careers out there. I did wines, outside sales. I was a wine rep, sold to restaurants and hotels. And then in 2015, I started my former business. We moved to Miami, and that's kind of where I am today. I sold my half of the business about 2 years ago this month, actually. Next month. Yeah.
It just sounds like you're chasing sun. Wherever the sun is, that's where you're going.
Pretty much. I think, some people get that. I don't know. I haven't done it in so long, but I remember back in the day, I would get really depressed in the winter,
Yeah.
And it's about to change clocks here. So it's going to start getting like dark at like 4:30. And yeah, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah. It's funny when you leave the city, when you go out even in the suburbs, where I live or have been living for the past few months in Connecticut, around, I want to say 6:30. There's no light outside at all.
Oh,
it's barely like
weird. Yeah.
It's all, but it's nice in a way because it's kind of like you can see the stars here in the city. Like there's no stars, you can't see stars.
Yeah.
And it's a mixed bag.
I think you're seeing a big shift in the world where I know a lot of people. I grew up. Believe me, we didn't have money when we grew up, but I grew up in a very tourist area here on Cape Cod's a tourist area,
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have summer houses and stuff. And a lot of those people aren't going back to the city. They've been here since the spring. And so you're seeing a big shift in, I think, demographics and how the world's going to work going forward. Just my prediction. I don't think cities are going back to the way they were. Maybe someday. I don't know. I just feel like I don't think a lot of these companies they realize they're getting probably more work from their employees working at home without having to pay the cost of commercial real estate. So I think people are going to start working more in smaller towns like this and going forward. That's my prediction anyway.
No, I 100% agree. I think you're going to have these little hubs in places that are going to try to attract certain industries and young people to come work there. Because if you're working from home, because the whole allure of New York City or LA or I don't know, maybe Chicago or Boston, whatever, was that you could chase your dreams in this place and you'd have all these different things there. But if you don't need the proximity to the workplace anymore, why would you pay the premium of a New York City apartment and the food here? Like everything is expensive in New York City. But before that, you could justify that by saying, I'm chasing my dream. I'm going to achieve X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But now you can achieve that from Austin or from, I don't know, wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different world. So yeah, I'm not even that excited to go back to Miami. I just really like the weather though. So, and it's not a great time to travel outside the U.S., with everything going on. So
yeah.
So I'll probably do Miami for a few months, and then maybe Mexico for a month, and I'll probably come back here in April for the season again.
Wow,
so
that's
yeah,
amazing. And so, at what point did you start your BJJ career?
Took me way too long to start. I first started in like '94 with the first UFCs, and I was like, "What the hell is that guy doing? How is this fight over? What just happened? Wow, I want to learn that. That little guy beat those guys.
Yeah.
I'm a smaller guy, so I always had planned it. I mean, even back before I moved to New York City around like '98, there was no jiu-jitsu up here in Massachusetts at the time, at least where I was living. So I started going to this guy's judo school, and I would buy the old Gracie cassette VHS tapes, and I would watch those, and I would take privates and ask them to do groundwork, because in judo you can do some groundwork,
Mm-hmm.
And so it always was on my mind. And then life took over. I moved to New York. I was working like 90 hours a week. Wow. And then I got to Hawaii, and my boss at the time, she shared an office with a guy from another division, and he had a jiu-jitsu school and right near my town I was living in. So it took a while, but after like 6 years in Hawaii, I finally started. I started in March 1st, 2009. So,
oh wow,
yeah, coming up on 11 years now, 11 plus years now. Yeah. So I finally started, and then the addiction began. I stopped surfing. I just literally trained twice a day pretty much for years. And then, I moved to Miami when I was already a brown belt, and then I got my black belt under Roberto Cyborg Abreu, who is one of the better, more competitive, I would say, jiu-jitsu schools in the country. Mm-hmm. It's down in Miami. He has an amazing gym there. So, yeah, I did it in Hawaii for 6-7 years, and then I moved to Miami in the summer of 2015, and I got my black belt in August 2016.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty fast, no? 7 years or so?
Yeah, I was training like a madman, training twice a day. And then it was tough to compete a lot when you live in Hawaii,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's expensive to travel. But once I got to Miami, I started competing a ton, and I had a really, really good year at brown belt. I won every tournament. No one scored a point on me.
Wow.
And then Cyborg was like, "You win worlds, you get in your black belt on the podium." And he said that in like April, and I thought he was kidding, whatever. And then I won worlds at brown, and sure enough, got my black belt on the podium. Yeah, I was only like 7.5 years training, much faster than I thought. Yeah. I didn't really think about the rank. I just loved training,
Yeah.
It happened. When you get passionate about something, you put your heart into it, things can happen really fast. If you put your head down and go to work, I think like that in anything in life,
Are you one of those guys that go all in once you love something? You're just 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty OCD. I actually just did a post on my Instagram this morning. It was interesting that you say that. Hold on, what was the post? I shared someone's Twitter. It said, when you're doing things you like, you will find we want fewer things. And I find that so true with me. That when I get into something, that's pretty much all I do. But I love it. Like, I don't do anything I don't love. So it's not.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think that's such if you have a driving force behind you, I mean, it's just priceless, because it's so many people, they do things just because they have to do them, right? Like, you have to, and sometimes you don't even like it, right? Like, you have to work out because you know it's good for you, so you go do it, or you have to go to work. But when there's a driving force, when there's something you love, and you can literally hand your life over to this thing and just do this 24/7.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
I think a lot of people, the biggest reason why I think a lot of the country and the world's not as happy is they're not living their passion or doing what they love every day. You know, I think if more people, and it doesn't have to be something that you make money on. I don't make money on jiu-jitsu, and I don't have a desire to make money. I don't want to own my own school. I'll help out teaching here and there. Like I'm teaching this week at the school I train at up here, for helping out in the mornings a few days this week. But like, I think if you just have something you look forward to every day, that's a big creator of happiness. And I think a lot of people, instead of doing something they love every day, they're like, oh, I want to go on this trip in 6 months, or I want to do that. And they're miserable in between that period, where I think it's the little things in life that make you happy. You know, it sounds so silly, but, you know, I have an espresso machine here at the house, and every morning I look forward to making my oat milk latte, sitting out. My mom has a beautiful garden, sitting out there. You know, it's the little things. So,
Dude, you just gave me chills. That's like my favorite part of the morning, to wake up. I take my dogs out, and I come back, I make my coffee, and it's that like 5-10 minutes that is like my favorite part of the morning.
More people aren't doing the little things that make them happy every day. So I pretty much only do things at my age now that make me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's you can afford that, not even financially, but just you get to an age where you're like, why am I spending time doing shit I don't want to do? I should just do what I like doing.
Exactly. And I think what prevents people from doing that, and we can get into my minimalism later maybe, but like, I think what prevents people from doing that is they get caught up in consumerism, and they have all these obligations to pay their mortgage, to pay their car payment, to pay their credit cards, that they can't afford to do what they really want to do, or take a chance in life to do what they really want to do. So I think that's important too, is to keep your bills down and your lifestyle simple. A simple life's a happy life, man.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the nice thing about martial arts, and specifically maybe BJJ, is, I mean, like you said, you're 47. You started BJJ fairly late.
Very late, yeah.
Yeah, but you can still like ascend through the rankings. You can still compete. You can still be an active athlete at that age. And, you know, I don't think you can say the same about football or basketball or pretty much any other sport, right? It's like very specific to martial arts.
Yeah. And you don't have to be great at jiu-jitsu to love jiu-jitsu. You don't have to be a black belt to love jiu-jitsu, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's so many, I could go on about jiu-jitsu for days about the benefits, but there's so much to it beyond just the workout, you know?
And you're still competing, right?
I was.
Up until,
it's really hard for me to train a lot up here in Massachusetts, so my competitive career will slow down for a bit, I think. But I was all registered to do Pan Ams in March. Yeah, so I was down in Miami training every day, and I was going to do Pan Ams in March, and that's when COVID hit, and then they literally canceled Pan Ams like a week before. So I haven't done anything since. I imagine once I get back to Miami in January that I'll be back to training 6 times a week, and I'll end up competing again. But I've been a big competitor since I moved back to the mainland in 2015.
And you guys are still training you said in Cape Cod? Like with COVID and everything?
Yeah, there's a gym up in New Bedford, it's called Fight Sports Boston. It's technically not in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be XL Jiu-Jitsu, and when I used to come up, the last 3 or 4 summers, I found the gym, and I really, me and the guy get along well, and he's a little bit heavier than me, but he's still kind of smaller, so he's a good training partner.
Yeah.
And he came down. He was a little unhappy with his association at the time, so he came down to Miami a few times and trained at Fight Sports. So this past year, he became actually Fight Sports. So it's great. So now I'm training with my same affiliation in Miami as up here now. So it's great. So yeah, it's about a 45-minute drive, which is annoying, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you think drew you initially to BJJ? Is over, let's say, Muay Thai or boxing or judo or any other martial art?
I think it was the fact that I saw Royce Gracie destroy all those other guys doing the other martial arts. Martial arts, MMA is different now. Everyone knows all of that stuff,
Yeah.
But when the Gracies marketed that back in the day, they specifically put up, jiu-jitsu against other martial arts. So that's what initially drew me to it. Now it's just the constant strive for perfection, and being a smaller guy, I really like to focus on technique, and there's always something to learn. It's always going to evolve. You're always going to have to use your mind. So it's much like, you've heard the term, it's like human chess.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I love about it so much, is the mind aspect of it, not the physicality of it. I'm actually not that physical of a jiu-jitsu player. I'm a more technical player. So that's what really draws me to it, I think, is the details. It could be a tiny grip, the way you place your hand or feet can make the biggest difference. So it's like the endless, it's the pursuit of perfection that I will never get, I think, is what I would say attracts me to jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
It's like, I used to be a runner, and when I never ran my whole life, but when I moved to Hawaii, I was like way overweight and I wanted to lose weight. So I started running, and I actually got super into running for about 4 years.
Okay.
And I was not competitively, but every day I run 6 days a week, and I look forward to the runner's high. But other than improving your time, I mean, how much, it's the same thing every day. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, every year there's some new technique or some, so yeah, it's that. It'll never end. You'll never master it. I think that's why I love it so much. The pursuit of that. I think what really makes people love things is not so much the end goal, it's the process of it, the grind of it. And I just love the grind of jiu-jitsu, trying to get better every day and learning new stuff and improving technique and so forth.
Well, there's also always kind of a goal that you can reach, right? Especially when there's like a ranking type system. Like one of the Gracies, he just recently, I think at like 75 or something, got a red belt.
Yeah.
Right, which is like the highest you can get. I think there's only like 10 or 15 people in the world that have it.
Yeah. So there's always that. But once I got my black, I got my stripe last year. I don't really care about the stripes or any of that. It's just, I think it's my own personal. You can not put yourself up against how you are versus someone else. But in jiu-jitsu, it's very you can see how you've improved just by focusing on yourself and where you're at. And I think that's what drives me, is not so much the accolades or anything. It's more like knowing that I'm getting better at a certain position or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
My
OCD. With MMA grappling, a lot of times when you'll see guys on the ground and they're grappling and it's high level stuff, I'll hear a lot of, I don't want to, maybe not, maybe casual fans or novices or people that maybe don't understand the intricacies of what goes into the grappling moves. And a lot of them will say that it's boring, it's not interesting to watch. but they don't understand the mechanics. They don't understand, like you said, the human chess game that's happening. You think maybe that needs to be either communicated better, or maybe they need to put, I don't know, more emphasis on I don't know, explaining or communication or something along those lines?
Nah, I don't. No, here's the thing. You just made me think. I've never even thought of this until right now. It's like, why does everything have to be bigger and better? Why does it, why can't it just be it? Once you do jujitsu, you understand.
Yeah.
It's like I'd rather watch a jiu-jitsu match, which to 99% of the population is so much boring than an MMA match. But to me, watching a straight jiu-jitsu match against two highly technical people, it's like you see things that other people don't see, and it's just, some guys are just I'm just in awe of how technical and good they are, So for me, if jiu-jitsu becomes like massive and blows up and becomes a big spectator sport, great for the younger guys that are going to be able to make a career off that. And a lot of people already are, but it's a martial art. And I think we're getting away from that. Although, it's very much sport for me. There's positions I do that are not going to work in a street fight, but the foundation of it is still the same. It's just control that leads to submission, So the whole point of it for me is just being able to control your opponent and lead that to a submission. So they're doing an amazing job, though. It's grown the last 3 years. It's grown so much, and like events like Fight to Win Pro and all these other ones that are doing paid for fights, super fights. It's really helping it grow. But one thing I don't like is how to help it grow. You have to get into the marketing aspect of it, which is like shit talking, and it's turning into UFC on social media, jiu-jitsu, and I'm not really into that,
Yeah, I go back and forth because I do understand everything is a business at the end of the day, any organization.
Yeah, I don't blame these guys that are running these companies,
Yeah, and also the fighters, like if you get some clout, you get some, if you're social media savvy, or if you're just someone who's makes funny remarks, or a Conor McGregor type.
Yeah, I get it. I get why they're doing it. They can make a career out of doing what they love, Yeah, but I'm at an age where it's just not going to happen for me. So I'm just happy to go train every day,
Yeah, but there are also those guys, though, that if you look at like a Damian Maia, right? Always respectful, never trash talks, and he's a draw. People want to go see him, and what he does is just it's beautiful. It's amazing to see what he does.
He's the epitome of jiu-jitsu and MMA.
Yeah,
I mean, because he's stayed pure to this day. A lot of this, there's some incredible jiu-jitsu practitioners that are in MMA now, but they're become more well-rounded in MMA, where Damian's ability to get into a clinch, get him to the ground, and never let the guy have any space, or it's just beautiful to watch. But he's probably super boring for most people to watch,
Yeah.
But for me, I love watching Damian Maia.
Well, he's very singular, kind of like Khabib, right? Like when by the way, you're going to watch the fights this weekend?
Who's fighting? I only watched like the big ones.
Khabib versus Justin Gaethje.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I like watching Khabib.
Yeah.
And like, that's a perfect example. Everyone's like, he's boring. To me, I'm obsessed with how good people get at something. Like the way he manhandled McGregor with his style was just incredible to me. And I just appreciate the technique,
Yeah.
So I appreciate someone who's so good at their craft, even if, that craft might not be something for me, but I love watching Khabib. So yeah, I might watch that one. That'll be an interesting match.
Oh, 100%. So let me ask you, what is just, because a lot of guys, they have a lot of different tools, and you're like, all right, I don't know what he's going to bring, so let me be prepared for everything. You know what Khabib is going to do. He's going to take you down. He's going to put you up against the cage, and then he's going to take you to the ground. He's going to maul you, right? Like
That's what's so
everyone knows.
amazing about it. They know he's going to do it, and he still
Yeah,
does.
they know.
Yeah.
So what is this? What is, and everyone says like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I know what the plan is. And again, like time after time, you can see that their opponent just gets drowned. He's like, I can't handle the depth that he's taking me in. What does Justin have to do? Like, how is he going to be able to stuff the takedown? Does he have to just get... So I guess the question is, does he have to work on stuffing takedown, just not getting taken down, which I don't know if it's possible, or does he have to work on just his ground game? While he's on the ground, he can somehow manage Khabib.
He's got one shot. He's got one shot, in my opinion. I mean, he's got to get a knockout. He's got to daze him and then pounce. But if he doesn't, if Khabib gets him to the ground, it's over. I mean, it's over. That's the beauty of it. You understand like how good Khabib is at doing what he does. Like the way I'm sure Conor trained for that the whole time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to get, I mean, Conor's extremely talented. Like the minute Khabib took him down, it was just like, he was like a little boy against a freaking bear, you know? Like, eventually his reign will end, but as of right now, I've never seen anything like that. And I appreciate that, you know, watching someone so good at something, you know, even in other sports I don't do, you know, it's like, I don't play golf, but when Tiger was on a run back in the 90s, I was like fascinated by it. And I've always been fascinated by people that are really exceptional at what they do, you know?
Yeah.
It inspires me.
No, Khabib is just he's next level. And like I said, like the part where everyone's, I think, just love him so much is that everyone knows what he's gonna do. He does it regardless. Like there's just no way for you to stop what he wants to do, the type of pressure he wants to implement, and there's nothing anybody has been able to do so far. And he's had, black belt BJJ guys. Dustin Poirier, I rewatched that fight recently. You could see him looking over at his coach at his corner and just be like, I don't know what to do. Like he just like he didn't know what to do. And he's a black belt BJJ guy. He's not some guy off the street.
Yeah, he just mauls you, man. It's incredible. It's purely it's something to watch if you understand how technical he is at what he does. You know, even though it's not technically BJJ, it's more wrestling, but still, it's amazing the way the little detail how he figure fours his legs around their legs. Like,
yeah,
it's just you don't see other guys doing that. You know, he's amazing.
I literally I remember a couple of years ago, I was watching one of his fights and I was at a bar, and I think the guy next to us, they were kind of drunk, and
those are the worst. That's why I don't go out and watch UFC, because the people watching, I want to be like, shut up.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember a few years back when we watched I think it was the first or the second. I can't remember if it was the first or the second McGregor Diaz fight. There was like a lot of Irish people there. We almost got into a fight with the table next to us just because I was like, I wanted Diaz to win.
Uh-huh.
They were so mad. I was like, dude, relax. Like, I'm not insulting your country. Yeah,
exactly.
But I remember like when I forget which Khabib fight it was, but the guy next to us was basically like, oh, why can't the other guy get up? Because he kind of, Khabib had his legs tied up. And I was like, why can't the guy get up? I was like, what do you mean, why can't the guy get up? There's a bear on top of him, mauling him. How would he get up?
No, I've watched UFC with friends who don't know anything about martial arts. And they're like, why is he doing that? Get up. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, you just don't understand the amount of pressure that's being applied to him.
No, it's ridiculous.
It's like no room to even breathe, let alone get up. Come on.
and I think that when also someone does, and this is true for I think any sport, when someone's really good at their game, they make it look easy, right? They make it look flawless and look really good, and you almost think, I could probably do that. Look how easy he made. Like, you don't see the years and years and years and years and years of work for him to make it look easy right now. You're just like, yeah, that looks easy enough. I could probably do that. And if you've never trained in that specific sport, you're probably thinking, yeah, I could probably do that, but
yeah,
no.
like he doesn't compete anymore. But when Rafa Mendes was competing in jiu-jitsu, I was just amazed at watching him. It's like another level, Even when he became more of a guard passer towards the end, watching him pass guard was just like a thing of beauty. Like, yeah, when you watch someone who's the best at what they do, it's incredible to watch.
Yeah. So I guess we switch a little bit over, talk about some of the more controversial stuff. No, I'm joking. Veganism. At what point did you get into plant-based eating? What kind of made that switch in your mind?
I got into this I was like summer of 2011, I think. I got into this Netflix kick,
Oh, yeah.
and I was watching some stuff like Food Inc. and all this stuff. And then I watched Forks Over Knives. And about 9 months earlier, we weren't close or anything, but my dad had passed away from a heart attack. And all these people in my family have all passed away pretty young due to heart disease or cancer or whatever. And it just made sense to me,
Yeah.
that food was the reason. So I just started doing more research. I read the China study, and then I immediately started to eliminate most animal products. And by January that year, I was 100% plant based. And then I've always loved animals, like big time, like dogs and everything. And then once you stop eating, it sounds like weird, but once you stop eating flesh, you start to see things differently. So initially I went plant-based for my health, but even when I eat shitty now, which happens from time to time, I'm always vegan,
Yeah.
So it's not an option for me anymore. Like the idea of eating cow or pig it's just never going to happen, But initially it was for my health. I didn't want to be another statistic. I didn't want to die of heart disease. And I'm a very logical, that's how my brain works. So when Caldwell Esselstyn released a study that virtually every single person, 99.4% of his study halted and reversed heart disease. And those were the most severe patients out there. So it just made sense to me. Sometimes I don't know, that's how my brain works. I see something, it makes sense. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that now, And then when your body just, people go, don't you crave a burger? Well, I'll eat a burger now. I'll have like a processed
Impossible.
food, like a Beyond or something. But no, because you end up craving what you eat every day,
Yeah.
So for me, it's really easy. I don't crave anything I used to eat. I actually crave more of the good stuff, the plants. So, yeah, it's just my life now. I don't really think about it. It's just the way I live.
Yeah.
I'm not here to argue with anyone about it anymore. I'm kind of off that on social media. It's just my choice, the way I live, and I don't think that any sentient being should have to die for someone's taste buds. That's just my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. No, it's funny that you say argue with people on social media, because I feel like there's a contingency of people that like to do that or feel that it's necessary in order to promote. And I actually think the opposite. And I used to be like, when I, first stopped eating meat, I would try to argue with everyone, right? You kind of want to like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
it's natural. I did it too. I used to do it all the time. It's like this light bulb goes off where you're like, you're seeing, something they don't know.
yeah,
Like you can feel better. You can have more energy. No one has to, it's like you want to tell people that, but there's a certain way to do it. I think that's more productive, and I just don't want to argue. The whole reason I'm kind of off, I don't want to argue with people anymore. Like my peace of mind and my peace is more important to me than being right,
yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, arguing on social media can literally take your whole. It could literally be 24/7 job. They
Yeah.
can. It's endless. But to the point I was trying to make was just I think it's a better way to show people lead by example, right? Like for you, for example, like 47, you're still active, you're competing, you look healthy, and you're not out there in people's face screaming, vegan or just there's a different approach that you're taking, and a lot of other people are taking as well. But like I said, there's a contingency of people that like to be in people's faces, like to scream, like to show the horrific pictures, like to be, 100% or zero. Like there's no middle ground. Like if you're only vegetarian, you're still a horrific person. Like I just feel like it's too extreme. And I don't know if that's the right
Yeah.
approach if you want to change people's hearts and minds.
They're not harming anyone though, right? They're not eating sentient beings. So my philosophy on life is like free will. If that's how they want to do it, whatever. I think that it has its merits. They've definitely helped some people go vegan. But I think a lot of people, their approach to it is what would make them go vegan or go plant-based. So that's kind of been my approach, like the science of the diet and educating them on climate change and stuff without yelling at them. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There were times in the last 8 years where I did get like that. I think because you get tired of the idiots online promoting like a carnivore diet or something stupid, and you end up getting. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I trying to argue with someone? I'm not going to change their mind.
Yeah.
So it's like I gotten away from that. But to each his own. It's just my style. The way I do it is what it is.
I actually think that documentaries are probably the most powerful medium or tool if you want to get a message across. And obviously, not everyone can create a documentary, but there's so many out there. And for me, at least, on many topics, the seed that was planted in my head and maybe started a transition of thought about something was usually through a documentary or a book. But
Yeah.
a lot of times it's through documentaries where you can at least, that's interesting. Like maybe I should look into this. Like this documentary saying X, Y, Z. And for me personally, like the reason I changed was environmental. I was like, I had no idea the connection between the food we eat and the environment.
Yeah.
And that was like 8-9 years ago.
So you probably recommend like Cowspiracy to people and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. What works?
But then for some people don't care about that, right? Some people they're like, I just want to be healthy. What's the ultimate diet? So
yeah. What was I going to say about that? What you were saying? Sorry, I forget. But here's what I was going to say was the problem I think a lot of people have is, let's say you have a brother or best friend for 20 years, and they've seen you at your lowest. They've seen you drunk. They've seen you eating cheeseburgers and fries every day, right? And then now you're going to preach to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck do you know about any of this stuff, So I think the problem and why people don't have a big success rate of getting their friends and family to take a serious look at changing the way they eat and the products they use is that their ego gets in the way and they want to be right and they want to tell them why they're wrong instead of putting that onto an expert, even though you may know just as much, but they don't see you as an expert. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
My brother and his 3 daughters are all vegan. I've been vegan. January will be 9 years for me. And he went about a year and a half after me, he went vegan. And all it took, he thinks like me, all it took was we were like watching, I remember his daughters were much younger and I put on Netflix for them at his house when I was home visiting from Hawaii at the time. And I was like, you can just keep the password. He's like, you want any money or anything? I'm like, no, just watch this documentary for me. So he literally watched forks over knives on his iPad while his daughters were watching something on the TV. And he was like, wow. And then he just started asking me questions. And then slowly he became plant-based. And then they started eating more of that at home. And then his daughters became plant-based. And now his daughters are hardcore vegans. Like, they understand the whole environment, So, and all I did was give them a documentary to watch, I didn't have to be right. I didn't have to be important. And I think that's the problem people have,
Yeah. And I feel like there's a weird war happening online, where you'll have a successful documentary like Cowspiracy or Game Changers or a few of the other ones that promote a plant-based diet. And immediately you'll have a lot of YouTubers and doctors and people coming out debunking them and, sitting by, sifting through each, thing that they said on the movie and why this is wrong and why this isn't factual. It's incorrect, et cetera, et cetera. And like in the beginning that used to piss me off, but now I'm at a point where, you know what? It's like, I don't know if there's any one diet that fits everyone. Like, I don't know if 100% plant-based diet is good for everyone. I don't know if a carnivore diet's bad for everyone. But I don't think you should debunk anything. I think it's just try to eat as healthy as you can with as much plants and veggies as you can. But I just don't understand this need for people to say, like, my diet is the best diet and everyone should be on it.
Well, it's not so much. It's the problem with what you just said is not what you said, but the theory behind it is that people don't look at the bigger picture. For me, it wasn't a documentary. Of course, the documentary is trying to, sell what they believe in. It was what I looked at beyond the documentary. It was the overwhelming aspect of it all together. It was the fact that, okay, let's look at the overall statistics here. Yeah. Number one, he's already proven you can halt and reverse heart disease on a plant-based diet, a low-fat plant-based diet. That's factual. Angiograms of the arteries, improving. Number two, there's no other diet that's done that yet to date. Fact. Number three, if you look at the longest living cultures in the world, they get 90 to 95% of their calories from plants. So is a 100% plant-based diet most beneficial, or is a 95% plant-based diet most? I don't know. But is an intelligent animal like a pig that's smarter than a dog need to die? No. So that's my whole thing. We already know that the more plants you eat, the healthier you are. You can look at cultures all over the world, not specific to one area. You can look at cultures all over the world. You can look at those that were sick and put on a whole food plant-based diet. What happened to their arteries? What happened to their diabetes? All that stuff is not debatable. If 5 of the longest living cultures in the world get 95% of their calories from plants, are they living longer than anyone else because they're eating 100 calories a day from animal flesh? No. They're living longer because they're taking in more antioxidant-rich foods, more fiber-rich foods, more plants. Like, to debate that is just, to me, I don't know how anyone can argue with that. Like, that's the way I look at it. It's not one thing. And then you throw on top of the environmental aspect of it, what it takes to feed a burger versus what it takes to feed a lentil burger. It's like, there's too many things for me to not do this.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. There's too many reasons to do it versus I don't see any not. Oh, maybe it's optimal if I do 5%. But then there's the Loma Linda people who are 100% that are living longer than anyone else in the world right now. So to me, it's not worth it to have a few calories from a sentient being. It's just not worth it. And I'm living proof. It's been coming up on 9 years now. I feel fine. I haven't got a blood test in years, but every time I did, the 3 times I did it, my cholesterol was 140. another thing, like the nurses study, the Framingham study, you know, they never saw a heart attack in 35 years with anyone with a cholesterol under 150. My cholesterol is 140. It's just, we don't know. We don't know the final answer. All I know is that if no one's died of a heart attack with a cholesterol under 150 in 35 years, and the longest living cultures on the planet eat plants, and it's destroying the environment, and a pig is smarter than a dog, it's like, why am I going to eat this stuff? There's just too much. It just makes too much sense for me. You know, I guess common sense isn't common though.
Yeah. Well, as far as the blue zones, there were a few aspects that he added, right? Which is something that unfortunately right now, one of them is lacking deeply, which is community. He was saying that a lot of these cultures, they have a deep sense of community.
For sure.
And now,
that's what I'm saying. There's not, it's not one thing. It's an overwhelming array of things that get me to be plant-based. But of course there's other things. You have to have, like, my mental health, probably the most important thing to me. I do what I love to do regardless of what anyone else thinks. Like, my peace of mind is important, and that's another reason. So yeah, I get all that, and there's more to health than just what you eat. You know, if you're stressed out all the time versus someone that's Zen, you know, like the Zen person's probably going to live longer, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Do you see more people leaving veganism or coming into veganism, and especially in the BJJ community? I think there's more coming into it, right?
Definitely more coming into it. You just hear about the people leaving, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you would think, based on a few idiot YouTubers who are wackos and all over the place, if you just watch all their YouTube for years, like, you see how unstable they are in all aspects of their life. You would think that the veganism is a death sentence to them. Yet every single person I know that's ever gone on a plant-based diet that's not on social media has never had an issue, you know? I'm not basing this on some 23-year-old girl on social media. My brother's been doing it 7.5 years. He's fine. Like, his nieces who started in high school, one it started at 13, she's fine. They're fit. They have a low BMI. They're athletes. They're brilliant. They get straight A's. Like, it's like, I know other people that have been doing it in real life. So it's not, just turn off the fucking bullshit on YouTube and just, like, look at the actual facts of what's going on, and you'll realize it's a very healthy diet. Just don't do what some of these idiots do. Don't starve yourself. Don't try to live off juices. Don't try to do detoxes and water fast and juice fast.
The enemas.
Yeah. It's like they do all this shit. It's documented. And then they say and then they leave a plant-based diet and they blame the diet. It's like, no, look at all the other shit you've been doing, you know?
But to play devil's advocate, though, there is so much confusing information out there.
For sure. Because people are getting it from idiots on social media and not
only social media, like any magazine, even like scientific papers that are out there. Like, I can find scientific data to back up literally any diet I want. Like, I can find papers that will back me up, right? And
sure, but answer this question.
Sure.
Can you find any scientific papers showing detrimental effects to eating more fruits and vegetables?
Probably.
Good luck.
Yeah,
because I've looked.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just and again, like, I'm just saying, it's confusing, I think, for people because there's just so much misinformation out there, and it's very easy, you know, if you look up to certain people and they back up a certain diet or back up a certain way of living. And then you read the articles, you read the papers, you know, you'll read some magazine that you really like, and they say, no, this is because again, like, everything that I think is good, I found something that to support the negative of it. And it's just, there's just so much misinformation out there. It's hard for people, I think, sometimes to decipher, especially when you have a job, you have kids, to try to decipher through all that. I don't know, it's a little tough at times, I think.
Yeah, that's what kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. There's too much on all aspects for me not to eat this way. You know,
Yeah.
It's not just the diet or whatever. I just don't get how people think eating nothing but meat's healthy for you. You know,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. These people are crazy.
Do you think maybe, I know a lot of people, and maybe this is a hurdle for them not crossing over the plant-based threshold, is a lot of people think it's complicated. It's difficult to make, right? Because it's very easy, like to throw a chicken breast and then, that's food, right? But I think people think that plant-based or veganism is more complicated. It's harder to make. It takes more time. What do you kind of eat during the day that to make it easy and just more minimalistic?
So easy, it's ridiculous. Nobody eats simpler than me, and I've been doing it, like I said, almost 9 years now. So get yourself a rice cooker. You're good to go. That's all you really need. You can how hard is it to wake up, either have fruit or oatmeal for breakfast? How hard is it to throw some brown rice in a rice cooker, set it goes to warm? When you get home, it's ready. Heat up a can of legumes, either chickpeas, lentils, beans. Throw it in a big bowl with some greens and maybe some fat like guacamole or avocado, maybe a sauce like a sweet chili sauce. And how hard is that?
Yeah.
You're getting the number one thing I say when people go on a plant-based diet is just keep it simple. I have I did this post like a few years ago. It's like it was kind of like a checklist. It's like, let me see if I can find it. Sorry. But it was just like, hold on. This work. If you just did this, all right. Is my meal centered around fruit, starch, meaning rice, sweet potatoes, oats, quinoa, millet, whole wheat pasta, etc.? Number one, is your meal centered around a starch? 2, are you adding beans to your meals once or twice a day? Are you eating greens once or twice a day? Are you using fats as condiments? We don't want to be overly fat heavy, but we want our healthy fats. Are you adding avocado or chia or flax or hemp seeds to your stuff? And are you avoiding oil as much as possible? And because oil is just so high in calories, but like, that's all. It's pretty simple, Like people complicate it, and I think the people I see that are struggling most of the time, they're eliminating one of those. They don't eat enough beans. They don't eat enough whole grains. They're focused on one or two things. They try to drink a lot of calories. I think it's important to chew your food. Your gut bacteria, fiber plays a big role in your overall gut health. So I think people complicate it. They follow these influencers, and it's just not exciting to just eat rice and beans. But people have been doing it for thousands of years, and they're lean, trim, and they don't have heart disease. So I don't know. Keep it simple. That's like most things in life. If you keep it simple, it's gonna all work out.
Less is more.
Exactly.
Do you eat differently when you're in competition or when you're doing heavy training?
I just eat cleaner.
Cleaner?
I didn't eat great from a few months here in April and stuff. Not gonna lie, but it was always vegan. But the more you focus on whole foods, the better you're gonna feel. Eliminate anything. If you eliminate all when I'm eating like literally no processed food, other than maybe a condiment like a sweet chili sauce or something, I feel amazing. I naturally get trim. I have energy. I sleep better. It's processed foods are the worst. I think everyone will agree that regardless if you believe in eliminating meat altogether, is processed foods are terrible for you.
Yeah, and sugar.
We're eating things that weren't designed for humans to eat.
Yeah.
So focus on whole foods. Focus on eating all of this, eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and some healthy whole food fats. If you just focus on those 5 things, doing that every day, I think you're going to feel great,
So what's like a life in a day of? What do you eat in the morning, afternoon, nighttime, maybe snacking in the middle?
Depends how healthy I am.
Optimal healthy.
Optimal healthy, fruit for breakfast, sweet potatoes for lunch, massive, or vice versa. Massive.
Sweet potato for breakfast?
No. Fruit for breakfast, sweet potato for either lunch or dinner,
Okay.
or a big, let's say, fruit for breakfast, sweet potato for lunch, and then dinner would be like a big bowl, with a can of legumes, either lentils or beans, whole grain rice, brown rice, veggies, some guacamole. That's my optimal days when I eat like that. In the winter, throw in oatmeal instead with some fruit on it instead of straight fruit.
Mm-hmm.
In the summer, I might eat watermelon for breakfast, or some melon or whatever. Like right now, I'll snack on dates a lot because it's that time of year. So I tend to eat like fruit that's in season a lot.
Yeah.
But it's pretty simple. If you think of that day, the day I just said, fruit, sweet potatoes, and then the bowl, it's like I'm eating all the things I just said to eat, as long as you focus on bringing that in. It's just, bro, it's been like 9 years. I don't even think about it anymore. It's just the way I eat,
Yeah. No, but just for as tips for maybe people who might be interested.
The tip is to focus on whole foods, like the less processed, the better.
So you don't do intermittent fasting?
If I do, it's not meant to skip a meal. It's meant to. I went through a phase where I did this, and I still kind of do it actually. Try to eat my last meal early, by like 6 o'clock, 6:30, the latest. That's when it's optimal. That's when I would say I do intermittent fasting, is when I do that. So it's like I'll eat my last meal at 6, and then I won't eat again till 9, 10 in the morning. So I'm going 15 hours. So
yeah,
I don't skip meals. I don't believe in this OMAD 1 meal a day thing. I don't. That's the thing. All these people have such a problem with doing simple stuff consistently for a long time. People just feel like they're on board. Like all the ex-vegans on YouTube that left, I can't tell you how many times they did weird shit, like I'm doing 1 meal a day, and they do that for 6 months. I'm going on a juice fast. They do that for a month. Just cut the shit. Stop treating food like an eating disorder, which you have. You have a fucking eating disorder. Let's be honest. That's the problem. All these influencers on social media with their diets, most of them have an eating disorder, and a lot of them admit they come from an eating disorder. Hello, you still have one. If you're eating 1 meal a day, or you're eliminating fiber for a month and drinking everything, like, you have an eating disorder. I'm sorry. So it's like, stop trying to make everything so complicated. Just eat your fucking fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, and some whole food fats. That's it. Don't overthink it.
Well, I think it goes back to maybe specifically Americans love convenience above all. That's why you'll always see some Gwyneth Paltrow coming out with the latest thing that, you have to try this. And all these celebrities come out with some fads and all these diets. And like you said, like eat 1 meal a day or juice or whatever it is. There's a new one every other week. Like, I can't keep up, right? And like, you think that this is the holy grail. This is what's going to keep me youthful, and I'll lose 40 pounds and I'll finally feel at my best. Most of it's just snake oil. Most of it, they're selling you just snake oil.
90% of it is.
Yeah. And it goes back to just basics. Like you said, it's less is more. Just do the basics, like what we've been doing for thousands of years. That's what you should be. You can obviously upgrade some things, but like, there's no holy grail. There's there's no magic.
Is the diet you're eating today sustainable for the rest of your life? If the answer is no, what the fuck are you doing? Can you drink juices every day for the rest of your life? No. Can you eat 1 meal a day for the rest of your life? Probably not. Like, can you wake up and eat oatmeal for breakfast with some fruit on it? Can you throw some sweet potatoes in a steamer for lunch? Can you throw some brown rice in a rice cooker and a can of? Yes, you can do all those things. Can you get enough calories doing that? Yes. It's like, people go on a juice fast for a month, and then they've drastically eliminated calories, and they wonder why they don't feel well, or they have a lack of something in their diet. It's like, hello, just like, I don't get it, man. People complicate everything.
We're complicated creatures, man, us humans.
We're
I
not
wish we were
though.
simple.
We're not though. If you look at the happiest, like you just said, the happiest cultures in the world are the simplest cultures in the world. Just turn off your fucking TV and just do what common sense. What people, eat whole foods, spend time with people you care about, get outside, find
Yeah,
a
it's
find an
fun.
exercise that you actually love to do.
Yeah.
It's not that fucking complicated, man. And that's the problem, is people complicate everything. Like, there's no secret. Eat whole foods, get outside, exercise, spend time with people you care about, laugh, find a passion. That's life. That's it.
Yeah, it's true, man. But it is. But like I said, it's just that's why people they buy these self-help books, and
They're
not.
lost. You know what? The main reason that people do all these things and change, and like, I'll see some. This is not. This is nothing against religion, whatever. You can have your own beliefs, but like, you see someone, they're 35, and they suddenly find God or whatever.
Mhm.
When people, they just don't have a passion. That's
Mhm.
it. The minute you find your passion in life, everything else falls into place. I really believe that. And that passion could be fucking playing chess with your fucking spouse every day at 5 after work. It could be, walking your dog. It could be jujitsu. It could be yoga. It could be your job. It could be your business. It could be your career. Do you think the most successful business people in the world hate what they do? No fucking way. You don't think Steve Jobs absolutely loved to get out of bed and grow Apple? Like, the reason why people are successful in anything in life is because they're passionate about it. So stop trying to find someone on social media. Wow, they look like they have a great life, and they're doing things you don't even passionately love to do. All you have to do is, just find your passion in life. Like, what do you want? What would you do? Like, there's a great Alan Watts YouTube clip called "What If Money Were No Object." Everyone listening to this should
Seen
just
that.
Google that. What would you do if money were no object? What would you do every day? And if the answer is not what you're doing every day, what the fuck are you doing? You're gonna die, man. Just do what you love every day. It doesn't have to control your life. Like, people like, oh, I don't want to work a career. I want to have a career in I want to have my own vegan business or whatever. It's like, well, why aren't you doing that now?
Yeah.
Because I have a job. So what? Then this isn't your passion. Like, the whole reason I ended up starting my business was not that I had this long-term goal of starting my business. It was like, I started eating plants. I started to feel incredible. My inflammation went away when I was training jiu-jitsu. I naturally wanted to talk about it. And then after talking about it and having people message me and being like, wow, man, you changed my life, I became even more passionate about it. And then I talked about it more. And then my social media grew. And I was doing this all day long. And I didn't make a dime from it. Even when my YouTube was good at what I make, a great month was $120, like, I just talked about it. And then I met my ex at the time, and it was just the time I took a chance and I started a business and it worked. But there was never the intention of like, I want to leave my job. No, I just did what I loved, and it led me down this path. And that's all. That's the one advice I would say to people, is just find out what you really love to do and try to do that every day of your life. And I think you're going to be pretty happy.
Is this part of your minimalistic mindset that you've developed over time?
I would say so. It didn't even happen on purpose. It was like, when I left Hawaii, I never was a big stuff person, but like, when I left, I moved to Hawaii with not much, but when I left, I got rid of a ton. And then I moved with my ex with her into Miami. And then after we broke up, I was moving out. And I think that's what really kicked off minimalism for me. I was moving out in like 2016, and I was like, I haven't touched this stuff since I got here. What am I doing? And I just started to get rid of stuff that I didn't use. And then it was like this amazingly freeing feeling. It's like, I think what prevents people from doing what they want to do a lot of times is stuff and expenses. So it's like, I want to move to here, but they have so much shit that they've piled up. The process of getting away from that and the cost of even moving it could be 10, 20 grand versus I literally came up here in April with a backpack and a bag with 2 gis in it. So I literally came up here, and I've been up here since April 1st. It's now mid-October, right? I've been up here 6+ months with 6 pair of underwear, 8 t-shirts, a pair of jeans, a couple pair of shorts. It's like, is your life better than me because you have more stuff than me? Like, but I could literally, not even kidding you, in 15 minutes, I could pack a bag, get on a plane, and move to a new place just like that. Can you do that with all your shit? Probably not, you know? So it's like, when I realized you didn't need stuff, as long as I have my jiu-jitsu, I'm good. But because I have a passion, you know? It's like that quote I just said to you earlier, right? Isn't that the epitome of what we're talking about? It was, when you're doing things you like, you find you want fewer things. Yeah. So when you find your passion in life, believe me, I know I was always trying to fulfill something in my life. I bought a freaking, I was doing pretty well in Hawaii with my job at the time. And I thought it was a good idea to buy a convertible BMW brand new. It was stupid. I didn't need it. It made me happy for about 2 weeks, and then it destroyed my life because we went through the '08. That was another thing too. That was probably a big underlying thing in my head. Yeah. When we went through the '08 recession, my income dropped 50%, and I ended up going into credit card debt because I had a stupid car payment, you know? And it's like, I think that was another thing, yeah, that got me to the point where I am, is like, you don't need stuff to make you happy, so.
Yeah, I think there's this false premise that we've been fed since a very young age that you have to be happy by buying shit, you know, buy diamonds, buy cars, buy different things all the time. Just keep buying. Consumerism will make you happy. You know, Christmas time, there's 50% off, and there's Black Friday, et cetera, et cetera. But, and I'm not saying like you shouldn't have money. Like, financial security is extremely important.
Believe me, I love money.
Yeah, it's just how you spend that money. And I think now maybe 2020 has made a shift in some people.
Yeah, for sure.
Potentially, but you don't need that. Like, spend that on experiences, spend that on enhancing your life. Like, I've never heard someone say, you know, I'm so happy I bought all that crap 40 years ago. It's the best thing I've ever done. I've been so happy ever since. That's never it's always, you know, I'm so happy I went on that trip somewhere. I'm so happy I followed my passion. Like, those are the things that
I spend money on experiences, not things now. That's where I'm at. Like, I'd rather spend it on a trip than stuff that's going to weigh me down. But everyone's different. If I just really don't think deep down that people that are buying stuff are true. There are people. There's some people that their passion's fashion, you know, and they might love that. But for the vast majority, though, a large percent, I don't think that trying to fulfill a void in your life with stuff is going to make you happy in the long run. I just don't. You know,
agree.
And then you go through a year like this, and like, you could completely have fucked your life up right now if you were always spending every penny you had, every paycheck on stuff. What did you do if you lost your job during this? Where are you right now? You're fucked, you know, versus keeping your life simple. Like, I actually have more money now during this because it's harder to spend money, you know, and I don't need to order stuff for myself on Amazon. But I'm not, like, it's the little things. I bought the espresso machine, so I'm not spending $5 a day on a coffee anymore, you know? Yeah. I'm not going out to vegan restaurants as much because because of everything that went on. So I'm actually saving more now.
Who do you got this weekend? Who do you think, if you had to put money down, Khabib or Justin?
Khabib, 100%.
You don't give Justin a chance?
Nope. Hey,
oh, that's cool. That's cruel.
But that everyone eventually loses, so maybe this is the time. I just don't see it happening yet. I think he still looks too good to lose, but I mean, there was a time where Anderson Silva looked unstoppable, right?
Yep.
So who knows? Anything's possible, but yeah, I'm not betting against Khabib, that's for sure.
No, I think you'd have to be a madman. Like I love Justin. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a maniac, and he's probably Khabib's most difficult test just because of his wrestling background and the fact that he hits like a truck and those leg kicks. But I just, the reason he doesn't use wrestling, as according to him, is because he says it's too tiring. And I think if he gets on the ground, which he will get on the ground because Khabib will put him on the ground
eventually, yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll just tire him out. So I think if he can get it somehow in the first, potentially second round, if he can like lay some hands on him and maybe like do some damage with the leg kicks, then maybe he's got a chance. But the more it goes, the more he's just going to get drowned in those deep waters.
Yeah, but let me ask you this. Like,
sure.
Why couldn't Conor do that?
He doesn't have that wrestling background.
Oh, so you think he's going to be able to defend Khabib's takedowns is what you're...
Better than Conor, I think.
If he defends his takedowns, is he going to be able to strike like he wants to, though?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Well, he could land leg kicks. He doesn't have to do high kicks where he could like grab a leg and take him down. But if he manages to do those calf kicks like fast enough, so Khabib, he could do some damage. He could take out his front leg, maybe not make him not be as fast with those, shooting in. So he's got a chance. I think he's got a chance. Not a big chance, but a chance.
I don't see it happening. I mean, who knows? Yeah, he does have a chance. You're right, but I don't know. Khabib's just so good at what he does.
Yeah, he's an animal. There's a video of him. I think he was rolling with Luke Rockhold, who he's 185er, 205er, and Rockhold said like it's like rolling with a heavyweight. It's just unbelievable the amount.
He knows
of pressure.
how to use his weight so well.
Yeah.
So he's got to just feel so heavy to these guys, get to it. If the only way Justin has a chance is first or second round, you're not going to tire him out. You're not going to, you're like, if he takes you down in the third or fourth round, like, are you going to have the energy to get up? It's like, it's going to literally have to be like a strike to the jaw that dazes him and he knocks him out. You're like, I can't see him winning a decision. I can't see him winning on the only way I see him winning is literally like a one punch type of thing,
Yeah.
But hey, I don't. What do I know? I don't even. It's not my specialty. So.
Yeah. No, it's just a fun exercise to do. We'll see. I mean, I can't wait for the fight this Saturday. I'm a huge MMA fan, so I'm excited.
Who else do you like to watch?
I like everyone, man. I watch literally every. I watch boxing. I was watching the Lomachenko fight this weekend, and I was watching the UFC fights as well. I love Muay Thai. I love boxing. Every UFC event I watch. So I love martial arts.
Nice.
Yeah.
My OCD just has me obsessed with jiu-jitsu.
There's no way you'll ever try anything else? Any other martial arts?
Not at my age. I used to, when I first started jiu-jitsu, the school in Hawaii, first school I was at, had a kickboxing class, and I would do that, and I actually got really into it. It was a fun class, but if I do anything, it'll be straight boxing. I like boxing, I have no desire for my shins to get beat up and do Muay Thai. I know because you're familiar, that, but
yeah,
I think if I did anything, it would be straight boxing. I've always kind of digged the technique that boxing requires,
Yeah.
But that would have to be like, I would have to be in a city that offers it, has a good, I don't know, pretty set. It would probably be a lot different if I was younger,
Yeah.
But at 47, I don't see me getting into MMA, to be honest.
You're a young 47-year-old, man.
Because I'm not getting my head punched in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that takes a few years off.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Jay, man, I want to thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun for me.
Cool. Thanks for having me, man.
Where can the people of the internet find you? Where are the best places?
Well, lately, pretty much just Instagram. I don't really make YouTube video. I'm kind of, I would say, semi-retired from this social media world, but I still post my thoughts on Instagram stories a lot. I'll get in this groove where I post a lot and then I won't post for a week. But Instagram is 801010 athlete. That's 801010 athlete. My Twitter, if you're interested, that's where I mostly talk about stocks. That's kind of what my passion is now that I left my business. I kind of rolled that money in the market, and it's funny because I'm getting back into something I was passionate about. The whole reason I became a stockbroker is because I like to study stocks and trade stocks, but that job really had nothing to do with what I actually like to do, which is just the stocks. So I talk about that a lot on my Twitter. But if you want to follow my jiu-jitsu and, plant-based stuff and minimalist stuff, I would say Instagram. I do have a YouTube plant-based athlete. If you're looking to go how to go plant-based, like I took down 90% of those old vids, but I have like probably 10 or 15 videos up, and there's 3 or 4 of them that's I think all you need to go plant-based. I have some videos for that. But yeah, that's about it these days.
All right, cool. I'll be sure to link everything in the show notes, make it super easy for everyone to find you. And yeah, man, this was awesome. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.